You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm really excited to get into our community's questions this weekend. As always, we've got some amazing questions from some amazing people. I did get to look them over briefly before getting started today. Really diverse. I think you're going to get a lot out of today's show. And as always, even if the answer or even the question doesn't necessarily apply to you, I'm guaranteeing you know someone in your life who may be suffering from these same exact issues. And really, our goal should be to pass along the education information to them. We all know that with family and with friends, a lot of times they're not going to listen. But what we're going to do is try to expand their mind and open their mind to the possibility of eventually getting well. Because most of us don't always take action right away after hearing something, but it piques our interest. You know, we start to look at things from a different avenue. And when that happens, that's all we need is to create that initial spark. So really excited today. We're going to get right into today's questions starting now. The first one is from Sabreena. Sabreena is asking, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Can't thank you enough for sharing your wealth of knowledge with all of us listeners. Your podcast is so valuable. Over the past year, I've been getting frequent UTIs, so urinary tract infection symptoms that will pop up and then go away within a few hours. Drinking alkaline water often contributes to the frequency. I am mostly plant-based and health conscious, but I didn't think much of it until I started to see small red and dry spots showing up my skin. It led me to connect the clues. I was on birth control for 10 years and recently got off and definitely have some of the symptoms often attributed to an unhealthy gut or unbalanced microflora. My friends tell me not to self-diagnose, but I have come to realize that I may have a yeast or Candida overgrowth. I'm going to get your Candida protocol, but I want to check and get your input before I made the purchase. Thank you so much for giving all of your listeners the hope we need to get through these health battles, big and small. Can't wait to get your feedback." Okay, Sabreena. So one thing I'd recommend too is simply sign up for the CabralSupportGroup.com. Just go to CabralSupportGroup.com. It's a completely free Facebook group for positive people who are looking to take back their health, their wellness, their weight loss, or, whatever their goals may be, and then, really work on overall anti-aging, and we can help out there as well. So all we ask is that people stay positive, that I know that there's a lot of people out there struggling. We're going to help you. We just want you to change that mindset to being able to also be an inspiration or cheer other people on as well. And that's really, there's so much negativity in the world. We just try to keep it out of our small little sphere, but we always want to help with all the struggles that people are going through. So here's the thing, and you brought up a really interesting point. When you drink alkaline water, it contributes to the frequency. Why? Urinary tract infections, so we're talking about bladder, we're talking about kidneys, we're talking about urethra. So what we're talking about is potential bacteria in there. And believe it or not, some bacteria flourish more in an alkaline-based environment. I'm not saying overly alkaline, meaning like if they were exposed to a pH of 10 to 14, sure, that would probably kill them as well. But, somewhere in that spot of, let's say, 7.5 to 8.5 to 9, there is bacteria that will flourish in that type of more aerobic-based environment. And that is why when you follow my urinary tract infection protocol, it's right at stephencabral.com/store. Literally, this is something I want women to keep on hand, just in case they do get a urinary tract infection. Because when you get one, you don't have time to then order it online or whatever it might be. You need it right then. And it's fairly inexpensive. I believe it's maybe like $70 or something like that. And it's for peace of mind as well. And what it contains is D-mannose, so just a specific type of powder of D-mannose. It's going to contain grapefruit seed extract drops, and it's going to contain vitamin C. There's also a female Well, it's not. It's for men as well. I use it as part of my Candida protocol, probiotic that will help afterwards. So here's the thing. We use vitamin C, though. We use the ascorbic acid form. And why do we use that? Well, we have access to camu, acerola berry. We have all these great food-based vitamin C. But for urinary tract infection, you actually want the acidity that comes with the ascorbic acid. And that will actually help to kill the bacteria on contact as well. The D-mannose helps to take that E. coli bacteria and essentially it unlocks it from the bladder itself. Amazing protocol. That's what I would certainly use first, and then I would do the Candida protocol. So Sabreena, hopefully that answers your question. And if you ever want the data to back that up, you're also welcome to run an organic acids test. We'll link all those up in today's show notes. As always, you can just go to stevencabral.com/podcasts, and you'll be able to go back to all the previous podcasts, which I always recommend doing if you're able to. And the reason I say that is really, if you go back and listen to previous podcasts, you're going to get an education on natural health from all perspectives, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine. You're going into deep forms of functional medicine, other forms of like Native American type herbs that I've talked about specifically as well, even Hawaiian herbs that I've gotten more into studying since that is one of my favorite places on earth to visit. So you go back, you can check those out for more answers. All right, up next is Derek. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I've been watching your podcast for a while now, and they've been really informative both for myself and helping others. I've been doing a lot of research and studying on enlarged pores as it's something I'm struggling with. Protein absorption, clay mass, collagen protein, overall digestive health are all things that I believe can help, but I also feel like something is missing. Am I on the right track? Or is there something else I'm missing? What else would you recommend? Thank you. Okay. So Derek, I do a lot with facial diagnosis. It's been on my list now for quite some time to do a podcast on facial diagnosis from a traditional Chinese method as well as a cell salt based methodology. Both are very, very helpful and both pretty much say the same thing. Just one would go a little bit deeper into why, meaning like from a mineral-based deficiency, what shows up on the face. I really think that's impressive to look at overall. But what I want to do is I want to give you some of the research and science first. So when people have enlarged pores on their face, there is direct correlation with an overproduction of sebum. All right, so sebum comes from the sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands in your body and in your face especially, we have a lot in our face, produce the waxy substance called sebum. And that's just what comes out of the pores. And sometimes if you were to squeeze those pores, you would see this thickened sebum come out. And that is kind of locked up in some of those pores. Now, people who have higher levels of testosterone sometimes have enlarged pores. That's also been correlated. So that's scientifically true. We know that. Now, there's other reasons, but that one we do know. So I found that to be very interesting because men, a lot of times on their cheeks, do have larger pores than women. And then if you look at women, like which women get the larger pores, a lot of them are the mesomorph or, kind of that ectomorph, mesomorph, or Vata Pitta type. So that's interesting because that type is going to produce more testosterone as well. So there's that. I'm going to give you some of the treatments for that. One of the best ways is steam-based therapy. So you can actually buy a facial steamer where you just put your face to it. That will help open up those pores and allow that sebum to soften and come out. So there's that part itself. Even just a hot washcloth over the face will help to open those pores out. Exercise and sweating, making sure that you're sweating at least every other day to get out all of those toxins, dirt, bacteria. Again, if you overproduce the sebum, you're going to do that as well. If you're a female and you're overproducing testosterone, well, you're going to look into that why. You want to balance those hormones as well. Of course, Derek, I'm assuming that you are not. And then we want to look at now. And again, so there's other things you can do. You can use the clay masks like you spoke about. Bentonite clay works fantastically well. French green clay, we use that too. We let it dry on the face. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You can do that twice a week if you'd like. No problem at all. Draw out some of those toxins. And then also just clean up the blood because you don't want all these toxins being pushed out. Do a 7-day, 14-day, 21-day Dr. Cabral detox. Last part. Okay, I'm going to do a whole show on facial diagnosis, but I do want you to know that those large pores, especially on the cheeks, are related to a deficiency in sodium chloride. Now, when I was younger, late teenager, I got Addison's disease. That is essentially when you get Addison's disease, right before that, you get a massive spike in adrenal-based output. You produce massive amounts of a hormone called aldosterone. when you produce that much of that hormone, your body just starts dumping sodium. Literally, your kidneys just start dumping sodium. You produce massive amounts of this hormone, which is used to regulate blood pressure, get you into the fight or flight. And because of that, you can become sodium deficient. And this is a very important thing as well. So keep that in mind too. If your body, and again, you can run a hair tissue mineral analysis to find that out. So I'm going to keep it at that for today because again, I could talk for hours just on facial diagnosis and Addison's and all that. So we'll keep it at that. I'm going to put the hair tissue mineral analysis in the show notes as well. All right, Stephanie's up next. Hello, I've been an avid disciple of yours for several years now. So whenever I hear something that seems a little off or strange, I come to you first. A dear friend of mine has seen a nutritionist that I recommend to her based on my personal experiences. I had an IgG blood test performed by this nutritionist who also helped me with the magnesium and vitamin D deficiency. They have been working together for a year now, and the nutritionist told my friend not to bother to work out. She said that my friend does not produce testosterone, therefore cannot build muscle, which is why she cannot lose weight. She told her not to bother to lift weights because she has such little testosterone that she's essentially wasting her time. I'm a trained health coach, and like you, I'm constantly reading books, medical journals, etc., and found her comment to be very strange. I was taught that lifting weights was actually a natural way to build testosterone, but my friend says the nutritionist has her taking a cream instead. In the year they've been working together, my friend has actually gained 10 pounds and is more miserable than before. This is not good. She had an IgG blood test and avoids the foods that cause her inflammation. She also has Candida and has admitted that she's not been really great with treating that. She's a bona fide sugar addict. I am wondering if the nutritionist is correct or if she's just trying to keep my friend coming in for the $150 a month office visit. She's also a chiropractor and the large profit margins on her supplements, or if there is any truth to her statement. Your thoughts? Okay, so if I laugh during a question, I just want to let you know it's not because I think that the question is funny or anything like that, because these are obviously, all these are serious questions, but it's that you have to, in my profession, you have to keep things a little light. And the reason is that I've seen pretty much everything before, and I understand, I can basically like see the conversations that are taking place. And so it's always comical, from an outsider point of view, just like it would be, many years ago for myself as well, being like, look at this kid, going through all of this misery when all he had to do was this, this, and this. So I kind of like look back and I smile and I'm just grateful. And I feel really blessed to have been through all of this myself before, because I just have this perspective now that I can share with others. And Stephanie, you're right on. Here's the thing though, I'm not going to come down on this chiropractor nutritionist because we weren't there for the conversation. Your friend is like, second party, your third party, and now I'm the fourth. And so we don't always know, but I can tell you this, that not working out because you don't produce a lot of testosterone is insane. Like that's a completely insane statement. So I don't know why that statement was made. You are correct that when you work out, you produce more testosterone. You also help to better uptake sugar. And if you don't overdo it, you start to decrease stress hormones, which would then boost testosterone because now you're using less hormone towards cortisol. So really strange, but at the same time, even though burning calories during a workout is certainly not the why you're working out, it's only like a fringe benefit to body transformation, you are also burning calories. Plus, when you exercise, you're detoxifying your body, you're sweating, you're also huffing out carbon and you're huffing out toxins through your lungs as well. So for your friend not to exercise at least 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, again, you can download the welcome package at StephenCabral.com. It gives you my ideal workout week. It's really bad advice, like it's dangerous advice. And also, for her to say that she does not produce testosterone is also impossible. Everyone produces testosterone. I mean, I believe my oldest private wellness client right now is 89 years old. Okay. At 89 years old, they are still producing testosterone. That's even both men and women. And that's because your adrenal glands are still going to produce the hormones, although albeit not a lot, that are precursors to producing testosterone. So that nutritionist just doesn't have that full level of information. I think that's all I have to say on that point. And the other point I would say is this, is that one is you just don't want to overdo the exercise, because when you work out for too hard, for too long, typically the mark is somewhere around 40 minutes, you start to then lower testosterone and produce more cortisol. So I just want to give you that little inverse right there. And the last thing is there's nothing wrong with supplements. I believe every human probably needs at least a couple supplements. And that's because the soil doesn't contain the minerals and vitamins and all these foods that we need. And it does help to rebalance the body. So, again, like we don't necessarily need a boatload of supplements, but I don't have any problem with someone recommending supplements as well to boost someone. Now, creams is a little different. If you're using hormone-based creams, I'm not an advocate of a testosterone cream, and I'm not an advocate of an estrogen-based cream. Would I use some progesterone? Would I use some DHEA? Yes, in the short term, maybe as a last resort. I've used it maybe with like 1 out of like 50 women maximum that I see, maximum. And it's only for about 12 weeks to 16 weeks maximum to help re-regulate a broken, dysfunctional menstrual cycle. That's it. That's really it. And that will help with estrogen dominance, get rid of those symptoms, and then we just wean off and no more hormones after that. I don't see a need for it. I mean, really, if you help rebalance the body, there's really no need for it. And that goes for pre, peri, and postmenopause. Okay, Michelle's up next. I want to make sure I get everyone in today that we have to get in. Hello again, Dr. Cabral. You continue to amaze me with all of your knowledge, and thank you so much for sharing it selflessly. We all appreciate it more than you know. I'm not sure if you have seen this product, but wanted to get your thoughts on it. The Poco Grill Mat. It's used to protect your food on the grill or smoker, but I would use it more as a way to cook smaller items like vegetables without them falling through. Please check it out and let me know what you think. Michelle. Okay, Michelle, I am checking that out right now on Amazon, and all I could find is something called the Kono Grill Mat. Maybe it's the same as the Poco Grill Mat, but all these mats look to be pretty much the same. And unfortunately, this is not something I could ever recommend. Again, I'll talk about this more in my upcoming book. The coating is something called PTFE. This is polytetrafluoroethylene. And what polytetrafluoroethylene is Teflon. And Teflon has, although FDA approved, again, we can't go by what the government says is okay, this has actually been shown by the Mayo Clinic, which is, I guess, a renowned authority on conventional medicine, at least. And they say this is one of the top toxins that do lead to cancer. So if any of this Teflon, if you're scraping it with a grill, like a spatula, that could get right into your food. This is a known cancer-causing material, and I certainly would not use it with my own family, so I cannot recommend it for you. So if anybody here has any of those non-stick pans, the black-coated pans, I can't recommend enough getting rid of those, switching them out for a non-aluminum-based pan. It can be aluminum core, but not the outside. Copper, stainless steel, any one of those things. Cast iron would be okay. So, Michelle, hopefully that answers your question. I can't recommend that if that's what it is. All right, Julie is up next. Hi, I'm looking to purchase the Parasite Cleanse and Candida and Bacterial Overgrowth protocols, and then follow with the Healthy Gut Support. My questions are, can the Parasite Cleanse and Candida protocol be done at the same time? I have Graves' disease with a total thyroidectomy, currently on NDT and T3 medication. I'm also trying to address a fatty liver, low iron, adrenal issues, etc. Will these products have any adverse effects? Many thanks, Julie. Okay, so Julie, I want to simplify this for you. And I believe I've spoken about this before over the last couple of weeks, but of course your question probably came in before that. Since we're always about 2-3 weeks behind in the questions, we just have kind of a built-up queue of questions. So you want to do the heavy hitter first. So you want to do the Parasite Cleanse first, and that's going to be exactly 6 weeks. So that's right about 6 weeks. After that, you can take a week off if you'd like, and then you will go right into the Candida and Bacterial Overgrowth protocol. The ideal thing is this. If you want to do it like straight by the book, Parasite Cleanse first. Okay? Very, very simple. Remember, when you do these cleanses, they're not your whole life. You literally take supplements twice a day. That's it. Morning and night. Very, very simple. Very straightforward. Okay? Before you leave the house and when you get home at night. Really, really simple. Again, it's not your whole life. We give you shopping plans, all that good stuff. So you can do the Parasite Cleanse first. Then the in-between week, you'll do the intestinal cleanse. And then after that, you'll do the Candida cleanse. Just like that. Very, very simple. That will wipe out everything and it will rebuild your gut. So even though you're wiping out the Candida and the bacteria, part of that protocol is always and is helping you to rebuild your gut flora as well. And then, yes, you end with that Healthy Gut Support powder. So you've got it. That is exactly how you do it. And none of them will affect or interact with your thyroid-based medication. So we wish you the best. And I'd love to hear your results on that as well. Lenny is up next, Lene. And it's a long question, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, just time-wise, but I want to get through it for everyone. And of course, you can just go to stephencabral.com/533 to get directly to the show notes for this page. And you can read Lene's full question. Hi, I just started listening to your podcast all the way from Norway, and I especially enjoy the mindset and motivation ones. As a matter of fact, I just got twins 3 months ago and listened to your podcast whenever we are out on a stroll. I can't see that you have covered these topics before, but I might have just missed it. I know this topic is only relevant to half the population, but would appreciate it. So I was only pregnant for 7 months before they decided to arrive with C-section. During my pregnancy, I struggled with pelvic girdle pain. So I'm going to scan this question right now, make sure I'm able to answer it, and then get to the questions at the end. Basically, Lenny's, I apologize, I wish I knew how to pronounce your name, has basically been a yo-yo dieter. Wasn't a bad lifestyle, wasn't a bad shape. There was some overeating at times. Want to feel good in a bikini without holding her stomach in. Want to be more active. She's out for a 2-hour stroll every day with the kids. Don't sleep much. Don't have regular meals. And want to start lifting weights. How soon can I do that after a C-section? What food should I choose, especially what does the body need post-surgery? Very good questions. And with little sleep, they have a personal trainer come for 10 hours. I'm assuming that's just what you hired them for. When would be the best time to start these meetings? And that's about it. All right, really great questions. So I obviously have quite a bit of experience in this field. I literally have been a part of the National Sports Medicine, basically, academy for a long time, American College of Sports Medicine, and really have helped women in this capacity for 20 years, helped my own wife. And so I'm happy to share this knowledge with you. And what you want to do after a C-section is you're going to wait about 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to get clearance from your OB, and they're going to say, okay, everything looks good. Usually it's about 6 weeks later, and you're going to start with really foundational based exercise. You're not going to start back in with abdominal crunches, but what you're going to do is some plank based work. You're going to do some full body workouts. You're not just going to do arms like biceps and triceps. You're going to do squats and deadlifts and step ups and lunges, and you're going to do chest presses and rows, maybe some assisted chin ups. You're going to do things that are going to boost your metabolism, because although walking is great, and yes, those 2-hour walks are absolutely fantastic, please continue to do that. And just a little mention on that is squeeze your glutes when you walk. I know too many people who just walk with their quads. They're basically just braking as they step. And that's not activating those glute muscles. And so you're missing out on, not only are you missing out on developing those muscles, but on opening up your hip flexors. So that's my recommendation. I would recommend 3 days per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the weight training. If you get time, you can do some interval-based training. That can be just at home with bodyweight training on other days. It could be mountain climbers, jumping jacks, squat thrusts. You can check out any one of those videos I've done before on that. And then food-wise, well, if you are nursing currently, you want to make sure that you're still getting the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins that you need. So I don't want you to go low carb, that's for sure. And I also want to make sure you keep your hydration up. So keep your fluids and liquids up. First, I wouldn't change too much with your nutrition except eating whole foods. Like I want you to eat whole foods. Like that's the thing. You can almost eat whatever you like, but make sure that it's whole. And I want you to do a smoothie every morning. You can use you're in Norway, so unfortunately we don't ship there yet, but I would like you to do a hemp protein or a rice and pea based protein, take a multivitamin, or continue with your prenatal and do that smoothie every morning with some good low glycemic berries. You'll be well on your way. Okay, we're going to see if we can get in one more question today. Lean or Lenny, I apologize again, not being able to pronounce your name. It's the worst, I know, but that was a great question, and I wish you the best. So my last piece for you before I sign off for that question is try to ramp up slowly over about 12 weeks period of time with your exercise. After 12 weeks of ramping back up, your core, everything else will be solid, ready to go, and you'll really be able to do any type of workout that you like. Okay, Ross is up next. I'm going to answer this last question. I'm going to keep it under the 30-minute mark. Ross says, "Hi, Stephen. I've recently returned from vacation in Italy while I picked up a stomach virus, which resulted in me having diarrhea. It has been 10 days since I'm slowly returning to fitness. I would consider myself to follow a relatively healthy diet and fitness regimen, but I'm regularly ill when I travel, both vacation and work. Within the last 12 months, I've been ill at least 3 times, sickness, diarrhea. I think this is not helped by difficulty in eating when I do return home. My fiance Lisa regularly listens to your show and suggested that I write in and see what you suggest by way of test protocols. I'm very keen to solve this so that I can travel normally." All right, Ross. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I actually answered this past week, so it was just good timing. Check out my show, number 529, The Food Poisoning Fix and H. pylori Treatments. And that is a great show, I believe, on that. But your personal answer is this. I would run a stool test. Again, StephenCabral.com/store. Click on the wellness tab and then click on the stool testing. So this is called a 401H test. It's a lab test for parasites and it's a lab test for H. pylori. My guess is that you have H. pylori, or you might have a mild case maybe of some type of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So this is what I would do. I would do the stool test, or I would take the product that I talk about on that show called the Healthy Belly, but I would do an intestinal cleanse as well. The intestinal cleanse will help to pull a lot of that bacteria or H. pylori, anything out of your system, but continue again for at least 1 month to take the Healthy Belly. Very inexpensive product. You take it once upon waking and once before bed. If it causes nausea, you're simply going to take it with breakfast or with dinner. Or you can do this. You can do the entire Candida protocol, which will help to rebalance your gut flora. Those would be my recommendations. Also, check out that show on food poisoning. You'll also learn why sometimes when you travel, you do get these certain bugs and sicknesses. Your stomach is just not used to those other types of food and bacteria because your stomach acid may be low as well, digestion being weak. So I would certainly use a daily digestive enzyme while traveling that will help. Drink your ginger tea, or you can simply use a little bit of that betaine HCl with protein meals as well. Ross, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral House Call, where I get to answer all of our community's questions each and every weekend. And again, for today's show notes, where I link up all the products, I link up research, I link up supplements, whatever it might be, simply go to StephenCabral.com/533. Take care, everyone.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.